水老前人，机关行传，心里美几万民，是一位博爱的圣人，各行有各见，大智大勇贤大人。周游列国破天恩，希望世界太平顺。生命老道长，玉林恩荣光，大人担使命扛，今生与正大道弘扬，慈悲有牺牲，少龙一贯为民传，众生归依真心的崇仰，愿无中事下凡响，大道光行日月长。
人人全是佛性，他得到了就信，就知道度化众生。度化众生不是活菩萨吗？那菩萨佛祖全是活的，哪有死的？圣人他在世都成圣人了，在世没有人称赞他好，说死后所以他是成圣人了，哪有这个道理啊？我们在这肉体也是跟圣人仙佛一个样，也是父母生的人呢，这是我们本性迷住了，天天为嘴吃饭，为肉体打算盘，结了婚了，挎着太太呀孝顺儿女去了，你看看全搞这一套，这是人情啊，应该这样子，人该这样子，你得有道理啊。你看那个小鸟，喂它长大了，飞了都走了。我们长大了也要飞了，你得创事业啊，为国家为社会。你看乌鸦反哺，羊羔跪乳呢。我们北方的乌鸦多，那乌鸦是小乌鸦，乌鸦会飞了，老乌鸦脱毛，它不会飞了。小乌鸦打屎回来喂这个老乌鸦，这个乌鸦反哺。我们父母老了，我给父母扔旁边去了。你看天天帮竞争的，儿子长大了，大学毕业了，上外国了，或者在台北做事了，他妈妈家受苦，他也不管了，还不管饭吃了。你看啊，真是禽兽不如啊！我们是个人，得要知道做人的道理。人道做不好，你烧香啊，念经啊，你念的全是假的，那个香也是假的，你拜佛也是假的。三教的经典翻开你看，没有拜佛这两字啊，你不信看去啊。我们仙佛毗梨逊也没有，你不信你看，仙佛毗梨逊叫你效法仙佛，叫你跟仙佛学呀。我们存仙佛的心，拜仙佛的事，你现在就是活佛嘛。我们人知道这个，赶快自个儿想一想，天时不等人，光阴宝贵，过去今天就没有今天了啊！我还壮年，社会上死的人就是壮年多。要是这个摊主不好，这点事不对，我不去了。我们老师说过，你那是你的福小命薄，那你修道给谁修？立功是你的啊，你人格高尚，你留名后世啊。与老师毫无关系啊，这个得要明白啊，听懂吗？
哦，不惜风和雨，日夜为众奔忙，任崎岖荆棘的山路，受尽身心气饮上楼，跨九州福音阳泉，血泪交织成众星灯点亮。慈祥的菩萨，菩萨，慈祥的菩萨，愿拥有些生命，生命闯无限光芒。哦，慈祥的菩萨，诸天人中的较量。哦，传承慧命，声也绵延流长。那牺牲殉道之间，当作为修道榜样啊，既先知无畏成佛，以心化所迫，成大同联邦。慈祥的菩萨，菩萨，慈祥的菩萨，愿拥有些生命，生命闯无限光芒。愿赐予能飞越四海的翅膀，哦，天使能眺望更高更远，怀美愿行走天涯，菩萨记祝福化成力量。菩萨呀，哦，慈祥的菩萨，哦，慈祥的菩萨。
人人成了佛性，他得到了都信就知道度化众生，度化众生不是活菩萨吗？那菩萨佛祖全是活的，哪有死的？圣人他在世都成圣人了，在世没有人承认他好，说死后所以他是成圣人了，哪有这个道理啊？ 我们在这肉体也是跟圣人仙佛一个样，也是父母生的人呢。这是我们本性迷住了，天天为嘴吃饭，为肉体打算盘，结了婚了，挎着太太呀孝顺儿女去了。你看看全搞这一套，这是人情啊，应该这样子，应该这样子，你得有道理啊。你看那个小鸟，喂它长大了，飞了都走了。我们长大了也要飞了，你得创事业啊，为国家为社会。你看乌鸦反哺，羊羔跪乳呢。我们北方的乌鸦多，那乌鸦是小乌鸦，乌鸦会飞了，老乌鸦脱毛，它不会飞了。小乌鸦打屎回来喂这个老乌鸦，这个乌鸦反哺。我们父母老了，我给父母扔旁边去了。你看天天帮竞争的，儿子长大了，大学毕业了，上外国了，或者在台北做事了，这妈妈家受苦，他也不管了，还不管饭吃了。你看看，真是禽兽不如啊！我们是个人，得要知道做人的道理。人道做不好，你烧香啊，念经啊，你念的全是假的，那个香也是假的，你拜佛也是假的。三教的经典翻开你看，没有拜佛这两字啊，你不信看去啊。我们仙佛毗卢训也没有，你不信你看，仙佛毗卢训叫你效法仙佛，叫你跟仙佛学呀。我们存仙佛的心，拜仙佛的事，你现在就是活过嘛。我们人知道这个，赶快自个儿想一想，天时不等人，光阴宝贵，过去今天就没有今天了啊！我还壮年，社会上死的人就是壮年多。要是这摊主不好，这点事不对，我不去了。我们老师说过，你那是你的福小命薄，那你修道给谁修？立功是你的呀，你人格高尚，你留名后世啊。与老师毫无关系啊，这个得要明白啊，听懂吗？
一代宗师居福山，今世孔子在荣渊。天降Yu-lin，荒漠中的甘泉，皆可解惑解迷圈。浩浩天恩是无边，悠悠白水注人间。一泓清流，脉脉滋润心田。阳生阳辉阳浩然，气质闪烁是如山花艳，血汗交织老容颜。气候与呈现，诲人不厌倦。春风化雨喜呈现，尊师有中道，福音圈圈。种树人慈，知无间。为法而忘去，一心表苍天。缅怀深刻，这人不远。
今时孔子在容颜，偏将Yu-lin荒漠中的甘泉，皆可解惑解谜圈。浩浩天恩是无边，悠悠白水注人间。霓虹清流脉脉滋润心田，阳生阳辉阳浩然。
旗帜闪烁是如什么颜？血汗交织老容颜。气候与呈现，诲人不厌倦。春风化雨喜神仙。尊师有忠告，父与劝劝。忠恕仁慈之无间。为法而忘去，一心表苍天。缅怀深刻者人不远。
老前人慈训。
So, ladies, 3 bow, 1 bow, 2 bow, 3 bow, and 1 bow to the masters. Gentlemen, 3 bow, 1 bow, 2 bow, 3 bow, and 1 bow to the masters. Please have a seat. Hello to all the masters and everybody. Good evening. I'd like to thank Heaven's grace and the virtues of a holy teacher. Thank our patriarch matriarchs, virtue, and also our elderly predecessor for their sacrifices, and also Master Li Lao for continuing to lead us in the Ling Temple, and all of the pioneering masters for propagating the Tao. And we're very fortunate to be able to have the masters coordinate this class by inviting Lecturer Yu to be here to speak to us. This is a really special affinity that she has with our senior Han. She got to spend quite an amount of years to serve him and to learn from him. And so from the last topic, we learned that in order to learn, you must always ask. And it doesn't matter how old you are. The learning is endless. And the second thing the second importance is to learn the etiquette and propriety, and to always think for others, put yourself in other people's shoes. I remember about 30 years ago, one of the seniors was very merciful to send me to go there to Fusan, and the seniors then brought me to be introduced to our senior Han. And the first thing that the senior Han said, "Oh, did you guys eat breakfast?" And at that time, I was kind of like shocked. So should I say I ate already or I didn't yet? So I knew I couldn't lie to him. So I just honestly said, "No, I haven't eaten breakfast yet. Oh, I will eat when I go back to the temple." And as soon as he heard that, he started asking the people to cook, the kitchen staff to help cooking. And while I was waiting for them to prepare their food, he was very caring for all of us and asked where we come from, which temple we belong to. And I would respond back to him, "Oh, I'm from Wusen Temple." Then he would ask, "Oh, how's Master Zhang?" And to say hello to Master Zhang for him. And I was very touched because we know he lead so many temples all across the world. And if it wasn't for his great concern and compassion for the people, how can he be so clear and aware of every temple staff members? So then he started greeting us to the breakfast, and until we're able to until we start eating, that's when he left. So that is like caring, showing that care and concern and considerations for others. And he knows that if he were to sit there with us, that people will be too nervous, when he watched people eat. So he just left shortly after. So he really treats everybody like a family. Then it's like we have to be tolerant. We have to be forgiving. We all make mistakes at some point, right? So when people make mistakes, we should be always forgiving and tolerating. So we thank Lecturer Yu for allowing us to have a better understanding about our senior Han's cultivation. So let us continue to invite her to share with us the spirit of our senior Han. Hello to the masters and to everybody. I thank Heaven's grace. I thank the virtues of our patriarch, and also thank all of our elderly seniors and all the masters, the efforts of all the translators. I'd like to thank all the temple staffs for putting this all together. There's a saying that whenever there's danger, there's always hope or a turning point. So being able to share this, I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to share stories about our senior Han. And the coordinator has already kind of briefed us on what we have talked about last week already. So now we're going to move on to how our senior Han, how he basically deal with everyday situations and how he gets along with everyone. So our senior Han is like Confucius, he treats everybody with a special way of educating them. Because in his mind, he wants best of everyone. So the methods that he used, the ways that he teach, it's all different according to different people. When it's a newcomer, a brand new, then he's just like a grandpa, very kind and gentle. And we'll show you like all the plants that he had planted and vegetables and fruits. There used to be a papaya tree that had like over 300 papayas, and he would take people to go and see the papaya tree. How does he know that there was like 300 papayas? Because every papaya has like a branch, sort of. So he gets, he actually counts them with a chalk. Like he will mark these papayas so that he knows exactly how many papayas are in that tree. She thought that white marking was just maybe the mutated version of the papaya. So if they're new, that's where he will bring them, and he will also show like them the pumpkin that he had planted. If he sees like someone he recognizes and older, he's actually very solemn and stern, and he has an expectation, and trying to kind of have that expectation for improvement. He doesn't like it when there's too many people, because when there's too many people, it's hard for him to really recognize the person. It's kind of like a waste of time and waste of money too for them to come. So he always hopes that there's not a lot of people, and when they come, like they can come for, you know, a little bit longer, where he can actually try to get to know the people. So whenever there's a lot of people, he needs to be more stern. So when there's a lot of people, that's how he is he's very stern. But when there's, you know, only one or two, then he will seem more personable. And he will try to recognize everybody's name, and even after meeting you very briefly, he would not forget you. So the ones that he encounters most often, and the ones that he are more considered guests, maybe not having even received Tao yet, he would then treat them differently. And even like people in the government, like government officials would come and you know, ask for voting, right? And he still greet them, and the first thing he says, and he will say to them like, oh, being a government official is good to it's actually better for you to receive Tao, because it's very direct how you can really benefit the public because of your title. Then he will also say, but if you are not a good government official, there is a saying that a person can be can earn a lifetime of government official, but then might end up with 9 lifetimes of being a cow, because it's saying that if you as a government official don't do good and do a lot of evil things, then that karma becomes quadruple, and you end up having to pay all back by being a cow. So his goal is to bring everybody back to heaven. And so whenever there's opportunities to talk to people about the Tao, to promote Tao to people, he would always do it very diligently. And he has seen all kinds of people. But one thing that he's really good at is he doesn't like to listen to gossips. There was once that there was a group of like temple staffs that came, and one of the senior and started to kind of talking to him like very low, like very like kind of whispering to him. And he's hard of hearing kind of. And he would say, "What are you saying? What are you saying? Can you say louder, please?" And he said, "Can you say louder? I cannot hear you." So that person spoke even louder and spoke so many times and louder and louder and louder. Then everybody could hear it. He was saying bad things about another person. So it's basically causing kind of like slandering. And the more he said, the more his face was really red. When you're saying things bad, so basically saying like when you're trying to criticize other people behind that person's back, you tend to say it like in secrecy. But then like when you start saying it out loud like that, you kind of embarrass in a way. So finally, after the seniors kept telling him to speak louder and louder and louder, and then finally to the point where he kind of was just away and embarrassed and kind of upset too, that he just said, "Oh, you know what, seniors, no, nothing, I have nothing to report anymore." So there is like kind of like a bridge and also like a patio, like a gazebo patio. It's like the and they kind of give it like a really beautiful name, and the name is more like, you know, kind of like a place for the immortals. So it's kind of like a way to hope that everybody who come, it's like you come without any like deviating heart, like you don't have like a heart of bias, that your heart is just pure. So when you come in here pure, then when you leave again, that you're able to use your wisdom to deal and handle all of your personal and saintly matters. So hoping that after leaving, that everybody can just let go of any grudges or any resentments that they may have, and or you know, having any things that they might haggle about. So anybody who comes to talk, who's coming here to basically cause slandering, gets kicked out. Because in the sixth Patriarch's platform sutra, there's a saying that, you know, when you see other people's fault, then you are at fault yourself. When you are talking about other people's gossip, then you are a gossiper. So as a cultivator, we should refrain from doing that. We shouldn't talk about other people's faults. We shouldn't talk about like other people's business. So as a cultivator, we need to get rid of any of these that cause trouble. So there was another time he had invited the accountant and invited these architects, and they needed to build the building for the elders, like a retirement home. So he needed to see what their thoughts were in building it. So he said, "Oh, I kind of want to build this, and this is the blueprint." It's like, "Oh, can you tell me how much money what I need to spend so we can prepare it? So we know how much we need to prepare to see if we're able to actually make it happen." So one of the architects, he was sitting in the very like towards the back, and he stand up. He went up to him. He said, "Merciful Senior Han," and he pointed at the blueprint. He said, "Oh, I'm willing to He said, oh, this part of the blueprint, I'm willing to pay for it. And when you hear that, wouldn't you be happy? Most people will be happy, right? Oh, somebody's here to donate, right? To help contribute. That's a great thing. That's what most people would be happy about. But he didn't think like that. Immediately, he slammed the table. He was upset. He said, how dare you say that? I asked you to calculate how much it would cost. If you wanted to contribute, that's your thing. You don't need to come and tell me. So my goal is for you to come here to give me a quote, not to come and tell me that you're going to pay for this. This is not a place for you to pay and contribute. And you don't need to brag either. Even if you're gonna do something, you don't need to let people know about it. So like when you do good deeds, you want other people to know of. It's not as good as doing things without letting people know that you did the good things. And that's what he's trying to tell him, like, you know, a person, if they're trying to do something good, it shouldn't try to disclose it or try to make people know of. So this is kind of his opportunity to teach him. Since we're here on a business, we do business work, right? We're here, our meeting today is about business. So don't come and tell me that you want to contribute. It's a separate topic. He says, so this is basically saying, like, even when you're trying to contribute, doesn't mean like you make them happy. It's all about what is on your mind when you're making this contribution. It's not the matter of the amount that you're contributing, but it's really the mindset that you have. So if you don't have a lot of money, but then you're very sincere, is one thing, versus you although you contribute a lot of money, but then you kind of have like the sense of proudness, the sense of conceit, trying to show off, then that's different. So there was another time we went to Indonesia. After dinner, we were all sitting in the living room area, and one of the gentlemen, temple staff, and came to me, and the three of us were sitting there. He said, oh, channelers. He said, I have to repent to you guys. And we're like, why do you have to repent to us? He said, last time I went to the Tao pilgrimage in Taiwan. Let me first talk to you about his background. He has 2 wives. He's a businessman. And one time the master was coming to Taiwan and said, I'm gonna go to the Tao pilgrimage. Anybody can sign up for it, and I hope you guys all can go. So you guys can get to see Senior Han. So he was very happy. So he made arrangement. And because he's fairly new, so then he came and went to visit Senior Han. He went to Fusan, where Senior Han lives. And he saw Senior Han. And there were so many channelers. And these channelers are all young ladies. He said, oh, this elderly man, he has so many women. He has so many women, like, and these young women next to him. That's what he was thinking. Then he went inside. After that, he came out when he was about to leave this place to get on the bus. Usually, Senior Han will always send people away by walking them out all the way to the transportation ride. When he was walking up, the senior pointed at him and said to him, think all you want. Think all you want. When he was about to go, all he said to him was like, think all you want. And then he went home. Since then, he went to Indonesia. He couldn't sleep. Every day he was basically having insomnia. He was so resentful, like he wanted to repent, but he doesn't know how to repent. He couldn't sleep. And so until we went there during a 3-day seminar, he came to us, because we were all channelers, he said to us, he said, I have to repent to you guys. If I don't repent to you guys, I can't feel settled. So our senior Han would a lot of times just use one statement, will just make one sentence or one statement to basically resolve the problem that people may have or questions that they may have, almost like he can read people's mind. And there was another Dao relative too. There was another situation. One day, everybody had made arrangements to come here to visit our senior Han. And he was sweeping the floor, and he was ready to dust off. And then all these people came, right? These guests. So he couldn't dust off all these trash, and then he went. Oh no. So this was, oh, okay, no, sorry. So it was a person, one of the temple staff that was sweeping, but then like but he was in a rush because people were coming to pick him up, and so he didn't get to dust off everything. He left. But then like after that, like when the senior saw him, was basically saying like, oh, how can you just like leave your job like halfway done? I remember one time I was at Fusan trying to show people the area, because guests come and visit, and I show them. And there was another story. There's another temple senior that came, and she got here first, and there was a lot of people, so she was just kind of waiting for everybody to arrive, because it was like buses after buses coming to visit too. And while she was waiting, and senior came out, our senior Han came out and looked at her. He said, what are you doing? Oh, and the master, it's actually the master line said, I'm waiting for everybody to come and arrive. And he saw her. I said, you have nothing to do? Don't you see that there's so many weeds? Why don't you know to just clean off some weed while you're waiting? And because it's master, so he doesn't need to like sugarcoat his words. And this was something that he said to Master Lan when she was there waiting for people to come. So in the after the Tianyuan Foyuan was a finished building, but there's still other buildings that needs to be built. And he was always hoping that when things are built, that it's going to be well used. He feels like all the money that is contributed to the building of it, that can be well used. So he was really frugal about it. Every dollar that is being put in, he was hoping that it has like at least $3 worth. So how do you like his way of thinking, like to have establishment have a well used, is to constantly have different events, right, to allow it to be well used up. So I guess they went to another temple, and there's always people on the side guarding. But then there was one place where there's a temple and there's like nobody there, which is kind of weird. He walked in and out all over, even looked at the refrigerator. Why did he open the refrigerator? Why do you have to look at the refrigerator? We asked. He said, we look at the refrigerator so we can see if they're doing well. And waited for at least half an hour. Nobody came back. So he said to me, he said, what should we write on the board? I was young, and I was like thinking, they said, oh, how about we say, oh, Senior Han came here, has been here. Then he said, okay, let's just write that. We just say Senior Han has been here. And basically cover the whole board. After we wrote that, we were happy. But as soon as he got in the car, he was very sad. He said, oh, what a waste of money. Because every temple establishment, he wished that there's a lot of people that is well utilized, that, you know, every part, every inch of the temple are used by the people, you know, because if not, then it's just wasteful. So temple is really a place for everybody to gather, to learn, to get to know one another, to improve in our Dao cultivation. So there is like advanced training where, you know, you go through 5 years of training. When you come out, you're basically like a lecturer. He said, oh, later I'm gonna go and scold at people. So like he has to go there to kind of conclude the class, you know, to conclude this whole series of session. He said, I'm just gonna go over there. He said, I'm just gonna go there and just kind of like peek through, and I'm sure they're gonna ask me to come and talk. And there was like 300 some people. They were all dressed well, you know. The gentleman was wearing pretty much like suit with tie. And he was kind of walking on the side. And immediately the coordinator master saw and ran out and said, Senior Han, can you mercifully speak to us? And so he was happy. He said, okay. I mean, he already had plans. That's what he wanted to do. He's like, okay. So he was waiting. And he was very happy. He said, oh, I'm going to go and scold at these people. And I was there. I'm like having a question mark. Why are you so happy scolding at people? So immediately he became stern. Because the Dianchuansi is here to, the master is here to offer the towel. And then he went up. And immediately he slammed on the podium. He said, what kind of you guys? They said, what kind of talented people are you guys? Are you guys talented people, or are you guys just piece of wood? So basically it's like saying the word was written incorrectly on the board. And so he basically scolded the whole entire group for more than like 10-20 minutes. He said, I'm done scolding. He said, why do you have to treat them like that? And Confucius said, he said that basically you have to kind of give them a little, like basically give them a little hardship. Cultivation is to remove all of our impurities, right? And these impurities, it takes a lot of scolding, and the higher level you become, or the higher position you have, the more humble and modest you have to be. So by me scolding at them, because they're all new lecturers, and I need to make sure that they can handle it. And actually he was very happy. He was happy. So it made me thought of Mencius. Mencius says there's 3 things there's three things that makes him happy. One is when you can gather all the talented people to work for you, then that makes you happy, right? So these lectures, obviously, they all have great vows to try to propagate the Tao to people, right? So because they all have this this type of devotion, it makes him happy. But he scolded at them to kind of try to understand that they will to hope for them to be better. You know, that is kind of like a method of teaching. So behind all the scolding and sternness, it lies within the mercy and compassion. Whenever the senior Han yells at you or scold at you, you shouldn't be happy. You shouldn't be sad. That means that you are at a level where he can actually scold at you. When he actually treats you nicely and kind, don't be too happy either. That means that you're not at the level where you're able to be trained, basically. So that's why he treats different people differently. He treats the newcomers one way, and he treats the old comers or like people who's been in the temple for quite some time a different way too. But behind all this is his mercy and kindness for everyone. So he was hoping that all the newly accepted lecturers all can handle all the trials and all the hindrance that may come their way while they're propagating the Tao. So when we are enduring all the sufferings, we would think, oh, it's okay. In the future, it will be a proof. It will be a living proof. So this was an opportunity for him to see the mistake that they have made for him to scold at them. He actually scolds more than encouraging, because he believes strongly that as a cultivator, we don't go through the suffering, we cannot grow. So more sufferings that we endure, more adversities that we face, the more we will grow. When he was 94 years old, it was something that was hard for me to forget. There was an event when he was 93 years old, he went to Indonesia. And nobody can see. When he went to Indonesia, his heart actually was beating very, very slow. When he go back to his room, he has no energy whatsoever. As soon as he gets back into his room, he just fall into bed. But whenever he is ready to go out of the room, he would say, I have to. He would kind of prompt himself, to be more energetic. Actually, he's really weak. His heart can barely beat. And this was when he was 93 years old. But he kept telling himself that I don't have much more time and he has to work hard. So he gathered everybody to Fusan, the second story or the second floor, and he all asked everybody including him, to all beg for heaven to give him another year to live, so that he can say the final goodbye to everybody, because he wanted to pay his last visit to all the temples. And really to just kind of chit chat and talk to everyone. So I remember there was one time in the Tongde temple, the predecessor Chen, she came in. This never happens where she can come all the way in by herself. Every time she comes, there were so many people that follow her, but this was a really rare opportunity. She was the only one that was there. When she came in, Senior Han saw her and said, "You here?" He said, "Oh, I invite you to drink tea." He said, "Oh, why would you drink tea? Senior never drink tea." When Senior Han went to China, he was hoping to find his ancestral burial place. the first thing he was thinking is he wanted to know where his ancestors were buried. But then even his son couldn't find it, could not find it, and didn't want to worry him. He said, "Cannot find it, I'm gonna go." So when he went, as soon as he got off the airport, he got followed. So he was not free. And he saw that the ancestral burial area was all basically being flipped, kind of being like kind of like how do you say it? And so when he went back, he was crying. He was so sad because basically it was been intrude. The burial site has been intrude and been like kind of flipped through, and so he was very unhappy and he was so sad. So they moved him back. The doctor told him he needed to kind of get some treatment. And so when the senior came, he said, "Oh, let me invite you to a tea to Professor Chen," and was asking everybody. I said, "What's wrong with him?" Was asking everybody else. He said, it's just the same. What are you talking about? He said, "How is that possible? Why would he ask me to drink tea?" And so Professor Chen followed after him and was outside of the kitchen. And there was like a table there. And he said to her, he said, "Please have a seat." And she's afraid to sit. She said, "What's wrong with him? How come he acts like this? Why would he ask me to sit?" He said, "Is that weird?" But Predecessor Chen couldn't believe what's all that nice gesture. And he said to her, he said, "Please drink tea." She was completely in disbelief. And he was so fast. He said to her, he said, "The doctor said I need to drink tea and I needed to basically like use the teacup to like kind of steam my eyes." He said, "I drink 3 cups. Oh, you drink slowly." As soon as he left, Predecessor Chen was so sad. She started crying. She was bawling. She was bawling so hard. She said, "What happened? What happened? Every time, normally when I come, I always yell and scold at me. Why today telling me like, please use this, please come in, please drink tea?" There was like 3 please. He said, "Oh, you're here? Please, I would like to invite you to tea. Please have a seat and please drink tea." And it made her cry so hard. He said, whatever I do, please scold at me. You always are upset with what I do, but the more you scold, the more I do it. Because I want to impress you. I want you to tell me that I did well, but no matter how I did, you always scold at me. But what happened today? Why are you so good to me? And so she cried for like half an hour. And we were standing there. We don't know how to behave. And after she started crying, then we felt like we should say something to her. So we said, "It's not like that." What do you think? Every time when you laugh, whenever he sees you're leaving with the car, he always tells us, they say, always tell us that we need to learn to be like you. But she doesn't believe it. She said, "How is it possible?" "Really?" They say, "Yeah, it's true." Then every time I come, he scolds at me. our senior Han once said, when nobody scold at you, then you're like an orphan. He said, when no one scolds at you, then you're an orphan. So when she heard that, suddenly she was at ease. She said all the scolding was behind all that scolding is his mercy and compassion. Just hoping that everybody can return to heaven. And so kept on scolding and scolding and scolding, hoping that you will improve, hoping that you will become better, and that you will never slow down your cultivation. And so there was another time where there's all these talented temple staff, temple seniors, and only one cannot go in, and that is our Wensi Bodhisattva, which is our predecessor. And she was the only one that has to stay outside, where everybody got invited in, and she's the only one that had to stay outside. And Wensi Bodhisattva said to her, it's all my fault, it's all my fault. I'm willing to change. Don't get mad, please. I'll have to take care of your physical health. And that's how she can become a bodhisattva. Because she never think about herself, she never think about her face, her pride, or she just admit to her mistake and hoping that the senior Han can not be so angry and like harm his body. So a lot of these seniors, they all like works basically so hard, and the respect for the seniors and the selflessness that they have. They never think about themselves and always thinking of others and always thinking for the seniors. This is the Bodhisattva's heart. So just like the earlier when we put up the video with our senior was talking, he said Bodhisattva is not achieved when you go back to heaven. It's achieved while you're in this world. Everything you do in this world, if it's an act of Bodhisattva, then you will become a Bodhisattva. So this earth that we live in is the place that we can graduate as immortal, depending on the work that we do. So his way, because he had to lead so many groups of people, so when he scolded all these leaders, he's trying to ensure that they're having the right direction. So there's a saying that when it's appropriate, it's called training. When it is inappropriate, then it's actually more of like a trial. Because we have so many karmas that we have accumulated in our previous life. So whether it's appropriate, inappropriate type of training, we have to all accept in order to remove all of our impurities and for us to be able to return to heaven. So when we are suffering, when we feel bitterness, we have to understand this is like a staircase. We have to be refined. We have to be refined in order to remove all the impurities. There's actually a couple of special events too. There was one time when the senior was coming, and we always greet them, ask them to greet to the Heavenly Mother, and we will always offer them tea and have them sit. Then we would then invite the senior Han to come and talk to them. But this time, it was a special situation. These seniors came from Taipei. As soon as they got to the living room area, the senior Han already came. Before they got to sit down, he slammed the table. He said, don't assume, he said, don't think whatever you guys do that I don't know. I'm sitting here, but I know everything. He said, you guys see the Heavenly Mother to cry? Don't you still have to come back to be a human? Why bother? Just do good. Just be a good human being. Just do what you need to do. So when he said that to them, and then I kept marking a question mark on my face, but they all seemed to understand. They were all ashamed. And when they left, so I asked the master, what happened? Why did Senior Han said that to them, like scold them that way? And the master said, because they brought a group of people to go meditate, to go attend the meditation center. They said it's not that meditation is not good, but we're already in the white stage. That is considered red stage cultivation. But now we're in the white stage, so there's different ways to cultivate. But yeah, these people. So basically, they felt like they went to they went to meditation center, and they meditated. They felt really good, and they wanted to come and tell him. But before that, he already scolded at them. He said, don't assume that everything you guys do, I don't know. Everything you guys do, I know, even when I'm just sitting here. So after that, I went to ask Senior Han. I said, do you have supernatural power? He said, I don't have supernatural power. He said, then how come you say that? He said, how old am I? He said, oh, you're 80 something years old. He said, he said, all the things that you guys have done, I've done it before. All the things that you have thought of, I have thought of it too. I just have to basically just ask a certain question. I already know what you're thinking of. They said, does he really have supernatural power? Just like the last topic I have discussed, I went down to the mountain to grab a ring, and then immediately he was scolding at me for scolding at us. So all the things, it's like, how come he knows these things? In the doctrine of Ming, there's a saying, when you are sincere, so sincere to your heart, you almost know everything that's going on. Like you're so connected with the world, with the people, with the whole cosmos. Because he's so sincere all the time. And he's always so stern with himself and very disciplined. And there was another time in our first topic, he was able to look at read your face. He's able to kind of do the bakwa. He doesn't promote these things. Sometimes when he sees certain things and he recognized certain things, he will warn the people. So there was a child who was like 18 years old. Oh, no. So before this child was 18, basically told the mother that, when this child becomes 18, don't be careful. Don't let this child go all over. But after she heard of it, she forgot about it. So when he was turned 18, he actually drowned and died. Because he see it already when it was a little boy. He was only just a little boy. So there was also another master, and he said to him, like when he was in his 80s, he was pioneering to Indonesia, like he was helping there. Before he left, he said goodbye and asked for permission from Senior Han, and Senior Han looked at him and basically like touched his forehead and said cultivation, propagation, that he's able to escape from all the disasters. So while he was there, everything was not going his way. He would fall just like riding a bike, trip and fall, and didn't hit the person riding him, but then would hit him or like beat him. And I said the senior have said this, and immediately he heard what the senior Han had told him, that he was supposed to encounter some adversities, but supposed to kind of like minimize. Actually, he was supposed to die, I guess, because what he saw. But he tried to help him, so that like he just had to suffer some physical pain, but not have to die. And then there was another thing about why we don't talk about supernatural power. Senior have once said the story of our patriarch. So the senior said there was one time when our patriarch, our 18th patriarch, right in the very front, so basically it was like a living room, and then it was then the temple, and then where the patriarch lives, and there was a person was just walking around on the outside, and then he was sitting in the temple, and he just called out loud to the outside, and the senior Han remembers the name, but I forgot what the name. He said, so come on in, and that person came in. He said, I'm so and so. He said, I've been outside walking back and forth for 3 days. I'm afraid to come in. So the patriarch asked him, oh, what are you here for? He said, I am a person who have been cultivating for supernatural power. But I was only able to have basically built to 5 clearness, but not the 6. So just like 6 levels. So he's only able to get to the 5th level, and he's not able to get to the 6th level. He said, maybe what I cannot see. So basically, because he could see through people's fate and destiny, and his goal was to be able to reach to the highest level. And so he saw that our patriarch is the only one that he cannot see through. So he said, maybe this person can help me. And so the highest level is that you almost can go anywhere you want to go. And so the first level is like you're able to go anywhere freely. The second one is you're able to see through everything. And the third one, you're able to hear all the joy and sufferings of people and what people say. Fourth one is you can see what's on people's mind. And then the 5th level is like you're able to see the lives of other people, like you can read people's lives and then their fate. And then the 6th one is to be able to like, oh, hold on. The 5th one is that you're able to kind of surpass all the levels. And so he said that, oh, I can help you. But he said to him, but you will feel it's not worth it. He said, I'm not afraid. I will die. I have to get to the highest level. So he kept begging patriarch. He said, you know what? That means you're gonna have to lose some things. He said, no, I will not regret. He said, then you received out. So he was happy. He thought it was just he thought it was to kind of take his life. but it was to just receive Tao. So when they start preparing all the Tao ceremony, so the teacher asked him, or the patriarch asked him, are you sure you are wanting this? He said that I can even sacrifice my life for this. So then as soon as he point, and he said to him, he said, who are you? And he scolded at our patriarch. Suddenly, he realized as soon as he was given that, as soon as he received that, he has lost all his power of the 5 levels. He said, I told you you would feel sad. And he is a cultivator. Immediately, he said, oh, it must meant something. So he started listening to what the patriarch had to say. The patriarch said to him, he said, everything you have learned, the 5 levels, to be able to go freely, to be able to see all things, hear all things, read people's mind, and also read people's fate. But all of these levels are all stuck in the illusion. You're still in this temporary world. You're still stuck in this temporary world. You're still stuck in this like Tai Chi, the 5 elements. So you're still not able to escape out of this. And the 6th level is to be able to surpass all the form and formless, and to be able to not be strained by the life and death, or not be stuck by the life and death. So if you are concerned over the 5 levels, then you're never going to get to the 6th level. You say, then what do I do now that I have lost all my power for the 5 levels? Say, okay, go home and plan. Just be a good person. Be a good person. Fulfill your humane responsibilities, then you will achieve. He actually flew here, so when he went back, he walked back because he obviously is not able to use his supernatural power anymore. So the whole thing about cultivation is really simple. It's fulfill your own human responsibilities, and to the point that you're able to, and if you're able to do it so well and so sincerely, you're able to recognize the will of heaven. You're able to see through all things, and you're able to be connected with the cosmos. Then naturally, you will know how to escape from all the calamities. So all of these supernatural powers are only temporary. It's still not ways to help. It cannot help you escape from sufferings. It cannot really help you escape from the reincarnation cycle. And there was another time. Well, earlier I told you that the way he treats everybody is different. So there was two comers. So one day, these 2 newcomers that came, and they have heard that the senior live up in the mountain, and they were below that mountain. They said, so let's go visit Senior Han. So they went up, and when Senior Han saw these 2, he was so happy. And it was 12 o'clock, and about time to eat. He said to them, he said, you guys are here, let's go eat. And these two newcomer is like first time seeing our Senior Han, but the Senior Han sees them like he's like his long lost friends. So they know it's lunchtime. So they actually had they know it was lunchtime, so they actually went to get lunch already. He said, oh, we brought our noodles. He said, you come here, you have to treat it like it's your family. So don't bring your noodle. He said, let them eat the noodle, like asking us to eat. So then we took the noodle and we asked these other two people to eat what's just cooked and warm. So we opened it up and we were worried because it has onions in it. So there's onions. There's no meat, but then there's onions. So nobody. So if we eat it, then that means we have broken our vows. So that when we don't eat it, we're wasting the food. So everybody look at these noodles and it's like don't know how to treat the noodle. So one of the people got represented to go say, what should we do with this noodle? When we went to ask the senior scolded at us. And he didn't want them to know what was going on. He said, it's all vegetable, just eat it. Oh, I didn't tell you guys to eat onion. So he said, first, the noodle, it's vegetable, just pick it out. But why did he block them? Because it has to do with them. Because they're new. We cannot make them feel like we're so make them feel embarrassed, right? So he didn't want us. So he wanted us to be flexible. He said, this is food, you can just pick it out. Pick out the onion. So we start picking out. So one person eat? No, everybody should eat, right? So every one of us all took a bite. I was the youngest. So I was sitting in the last row, South Sea. So by the time it got to me, there were more. I don't have to eat. So I didn't get to eat it. But I can see that the way the senior Han treats, I said when it has to do with people's lives and people's eternal life, you have to be flexible. So the reason why you're vegetarian is because out of compassion and mercy, not to be stubborn and not to be so inflexible. So sorry, I have lost hold on. Sorry, I have lost connection, so I have to sign back in. So so now she's talking about Confucius. And Confucius actually have gone through basically traveling to different states, right, to try to promote the teachings of governance. And so when he was getting ready to the state of Wei, he was being blocked by a group of people because if he were to help the people in state of Wei, then the state of Wei will become strong and powerful, and then maybe perish the neighboring country. So then we have to block. So basically, they block Confucius. And so one of his disciples, Gou Liangru, he is very strong. And he was traveling with the Confucius and have seen his own teacher suffering all kinds of sufferings and humiliation and even like assassination. He said, no matter what, I will protect my teacher. So when he said that, he has more courage and more strength, and he started fighting back. And all the people were so scared. It's like, this person is so strong. So they couldn't fight anymore. So they say, forget it, we're not going to fight you anymore. As long as you're willing to just vow not to go to state of Wei, I will let you go. Confucius immediately make a vow. He immediately he made a promise. He swear and he said, I will not go to the state away. And as soon as they let him go, as soon as he got to the safe place, he said to Zigong, he said, let's go to the state away. And Zigong felt weird. Didn't you just make a promise? You just swear that you're not gonna go. How can you go? He said, that means that you're going against your swearing or your promise. He said, what I was being forced, that was a forced promise, so it doesn't count. So he's very flexible. Because it has to do with the lives. When it has to do with a person's physical life and a person's eternal life, you have to be flexible. Just like our sixth patriarch, when he was being chased by assassiners, and he had to hide in the hunting crowd, and he you know, all these hunters, they all eat meat, you know, so he had to pretend that he's like a part of them, so he just eat like the vegetables that's cooked in it rather than eating the meat. So again, that's being flexible. And while he was in that group, he also tried to release some of the animals so that they won't get killed. So it's basically saying to us that no matter what the situation may be, for the most part, we have to follow the rules and what is set by the temple. But when there comes jeopardy, or when the situation can jeopardize the life of other people, then you have to reconsider. He always is very disciplined, and he always makes sure he do his own thing. He takes care of all people, and he never asks other people to do stuff for him. And there was actually 8 coordinators that's in charge of like kind of overseeing the Fusang where he lived. And so after he passed away, we broke into groups, and then we have to like kind of oversee. But then after a few months, we were also like dead tired. And so that's when we realized how much responsibility he had to carry. Although he seemed like he's not like he doesn't seem like he has worked so hard, but then like I have to shoulder over a lot of the holy responsibilities, not only in the temple that he lived in, but also overseeing the whole entire temple groups all over. So he kept emphasizing he kept emphasizing the Commonwealth state written by Confucius. He said, which basically the common goal is to bring the world of utopia, or to have a peaceful world. And he asked us, like, could that happen? He said, how is it possible? So they said, how could there be world peace? And so the world peace, what is it really trying to tell us? The Commonwealth is really telling us there's only one word to basically connect with the whole entire, or summarize the whole entire Commonwealth statement. So it's justice and fairness, basically fairness. So to be fair is to get rid of your selfish heart, to get rid of your self-centered mind. Most of the people only are all only when we start to have selfishness, then that's where war comes, that's where battle comes, that's where haggle comes. If you don't have a sense of self, then there will not be any war, because we can always think for other people. We will not only think for ourselves, then there will be no haggling, there's no wars. So it's not search from outside or expect other to do it, is to expect to discipline yourself to become selfless. And he was able to do that. When anybody who comes to him, his mind is always, how can I help you to return to heaven? And he will find different ways for different people to really help them. What can I do to help you? That's always on his mind, is how can he benefit others? Never think about himself. And he's also not afraid to be the stern person, or to get criticized by other people. As long as he thinks and believes that is good for you, even if it's scolding, he would do it. As long as he can help the people, he would do it. Anything that helps with our cultivation path. So everybody wants to invite Senior Han to go to their temple to speak to the people, but every day there's so many people. How can he actually go? How does he make choices of where he should go? So one time I see him, he had like a journal. Oh, like kind of like an agenda or a calendar agenda. And he would say, so and so came to ask him whichever temple is being established, everything, right? All the events. As soon as he looked at it, he said, I'm gonna go there. And I questioned him. I said, there's so many people asked you to go, so how do you pick where you want to go? He said, that's easy. He said, look at this. He said, oh, that's a temple establishment. He said, what's the point of me going there? He said, there's no use. He said, look at this. He said, there's a temple there. Oh, it's a link. It's not part of the Fai. It's not part of the Fai group. And they came. He said, we don't have a lot of people. We hope that we're able to start over and have and it was hoping for the Senior Han to go there to help them to start again, because it's like almost dying out. Immediately he went, and after suddenly they're able to prosper. The whole link was able to flourish. So he went. It's not his, it's not our own. And he believed that they need me, I will go. So in his mind, he treats everybody the same, regardless if it's a link that he's in charge or a link that he's not in charge. He always tries to help out those that are needy, that are in need. So basically, if there is places that are like, establishing temple, or just needed me to kind of show up, like that's not necessary. He wants to help wherever that really needed him the most. So, because he said it's not just to put up a show. Most importantly is him giving up his family to propagate the Tao. He has renounced his career and left his family to propagate the Tao. He has once said, he's at 38, he vomited blood, he was supposed to die. He said, I was supposed to die, right? When you die, you have nothing else anyways. So he was hoping that all his family member can forgive him. You know, the kids were so young and he had to let them go. He had to leave them, right, to propagate the Tao, and basically dedicated his whole entire life to Tao. And when he traveled to Taiwan, he couldn't go back to China because of the disconnection. And then until it was time that the Taiwan and China are able to open their traveling. And so like all the his family member then traveled to Taiwan to visit him. At the very beginning, when he took him to the Tianyuan temple, he said, wow, it's such a big temple. His daughter, because she was thinking about the mom, how much she suffered, and see that he lived in such a big temple and use everything nice, and basically scold at Senior Han, how dare you? Do you know how much suffering we have suffered in China? And yet you're here, get to enjoy such a big house. Everywhere you go, people treat you so well and have so much respect for you, and you just disregarded us. He was just saying, he just accepted all. When he encountered a lot of things, he just accepts. He doesn't need to explain himself. He said, that's right, you know. I've seen so many times when a lot of people scold at him. And some people even try to blackmail him, threaten him. When he sees it, he said, yeah, people are right. He said, this is blackmail. He said, no. No, whenever there's adversities that come his way, he always think that he is his shortcoming. And so when his daughter scolded at him, he just accepted. He didn't say anything. And then he came. His wife have suffered and endure all sufferings. So he was hoping that she, you know, because she passed away already. So he wanted to know, you know, about her. But there's so many channeler. He couldn't ask because he felt like this is his personal matter. So after dinner, he was walking around for like 3 times. He didn't want to say it. He didn't have the courage to say it. So there was a channeler next to him. And he said, why is he like this? Like he tried to talk, but not talk. And then suddenly he raised the courage and he said to the channeler, he said, can I ask you to channel my wife? He said, okay, yeah, of course. And he felt like he had just off-lived his baggage. We all know that whenever like people need channeling, they're always so eager, right? And try to get the first dib. But the thing is, like, this is his personal matter. So that's why it was very hard for him to open to ask for this request. So it was basically his family member on one side, and then all the temple, all the staff that was there on the other side. So this was actually a dictation from his wife and all the people that was there. So the wife was actually given the holy title Xianci Bodhisattva. So he was hoping that she has a good life, because we don't know that, right? Because she suffers so much. So after 100 bells, he stand up he turned around, he said to everybody, and he kneeled down among all people. And we were all in shock. How can you do that? Why are you trying to do that? He said, I thank all of you. I said, no, this is what we're supposed to do. Why you do that? Why you have such a formal things? He said, no. He said, this is my own personal family matter. I disturb all of you to be a part of it. And so he bowed to everybody. He said that was the only time he bowed to everyone. That one thing that he did for himself, for his family. So it's his selfish, I could never forget, selfish mind. So if you can be like the senior Ho, you will definitely be able to return to heaven. And because our time is almost up. He said every time he sees, every time he meets people, it's one less time of seeing that person again. It's hard, sometimes it's hard to see it again, including, you know, an ant that just walked by, right? You're not gonna see the same ant. So every opportunity that we have, we should grasp the opportunity and cherish the moments. Every person that come visit him, he always cherish that meeting and cherish that affinity he has with that person and try his best to help that person grow, even to the point where he become voiceless because he exhausted all his energy. He wouldn't let people waste their trip coming to see him. And so even if he got to the point where he lose his voice, he would still continue to keep talking. This is like a very early, like, okay. So it doesn't matter what type of event, formal or informal, but whenever there's an opportunity for the meeting, he will always think how he can benefit the people. And so when it comes to affinity, he really cherished every opportunity. Sometimes I look at certain like scenery and I say I felt like it's deja vu. He said when you're standing on the first floor, you can see the garden. Then when you stand on the second floor, you're not going to see that. What about the third floor? What about 100 floors later? Is it still this garden? Yeah. It's just more and more unclear, right? But the garden is always be there. It doesn't matter which level you're at. So that the garden is like your karma. No matter how many lifetimes you have been reincarnated, you are still you. And so you need to try to kind of transform out of or emancipate out of the cycle of reincarnation. And in order to do so is to fulfill your own vows and remove all your sins. When he was in China, he went through a lot of trials because it was a warfare time. And when he came to Taiwan, there was also a lot of trials with the police. And so everybody lived really less than 100 years old. And so every day could be a trial. Every situation is like a test. And so you're constantly being tested and taking, and through these tests you are being corrected. And so every opportunity is a karma. So when people slap at you, you will want to slap them back, right? If you owe them money, owe people money, people want you to pay them back. But most importantly is to, there's a story that he shared. It was so Bai Zhang Baizang immortal, Baizang monk, he was talking, he was basically talking, kind of giving a lecture to a group of people. And so there was an elderly man that was standing there, and he's like, oh, who is it that is standing in front of me? He said, I'm actually not a person, I'm actually a fox. And so he said, actually, I was a cultivator in my previous life, but while I was lecturing one time, somebody asked me, as a cultivator, would I still be trapped in the karma? And he said, no, you will not be trapped in the karma. And so because what he said, which was wrong, it made him being punished for 500 lifetime as a fox. And so he asked this master monk, he said, what should I say? So Baizang master monk said, he said, Wu Mei Yingguo is kind of saying like, and then then the next day the fox then died, in the back, in the back of the mountain, behind the temple. So what that means, or the answer that he gave him, is basically not to be neutral towards all karma. And what that means is like, you are not being stuck in the karma. When things come at you, even if it's adversity, you just handle it. When it leaves, you don't linger it. You don't hold on to it. You don't have grudge or resentment. You just let it go. So basically dealing with situation as it comes and goes, without any attachments. And that's what it means. So in the end, I would like to conclude this. Mainly this topic was about how he dealt with people in his everyday life. And a lot of time he tried to educate people according to their level, and a lot of the times he make a statement and it resolves people's questions. And he is completely selfless. He said that it's very important to get rid of a self-centered, to always like try to think of for other people. Never think about yourself, always think about the benefits of other people. When you can get rid of a sense of self, then everything you do will progress very strongly, because you know how you can how you interact with others. And lastly is to cherish all affinity that there is, but not be stuck with the affinity. So as it comes, you handle it, and then when not handle it, you cherish it, but then when it's gone, you don't linger on it. So this is all that we'll finish saying for today's topic. Thank you, Master, and thank you to the coordinator, to all the translator, and all the temple staffs that have tried to put this together. If there's anything I said wrong, please have heaven forgive me. And I hope our senior Han can also forgive me if I said anything wrong, and have the coordinator supplement for me. Thank you all. We thank Lecture Yu for sharing this. We're very grateful again to be able to hear this, the stories about our senior Han and how he cultivates. It's really beneficial in our cultivation, hopefully as a part of the cultivator in the under our senior Han. We can see how he really manifested the Tao in his everyday life. And how he deal with everybody, and cherish every opportunity there is to talk to everyone. And a lot of time he just has to make one statement and it can awaken the people. Why can he do that? It's because in his mind, is always for the compassion of others, always ways to help people to get closer to heaven. So again, we're very grateful for all his sacrifices. And when she was sharing about his family, when his family came to Taiwan, I was really sad. I even cried. All his selfless giving and his basically sacrifice his own family for the people. And that's how we have the temple we have, and have such a good, a smooth ride in our cultivation. So we see through his manifestation of his life that there's so many ways to educate us, for us to learn, for us to improve and reevaluate ourselves. So again, we're grateful to have Lecturer Yu to share this with us. And I thank all the efforts from all the pioneering seniors. During this pandemic, we still have this opportunity to listen to the stories of our seniors and his spirits of cultivation. It gives us a greater affirmation and motivation that we're able to overcome all the trials and tests that we face in life. So again, thank you to Lecturer Yu, and we will end here. Then same time next week, we will have the class again, and that will be our last session. So let's please stand up. Ready, 3 bow. 1 bow, 2 bow, 3 bow, and 1 bow. 1 bow to one of the masters. And gentlemen, 1 bow. Gentlemen, 3 bow. 3 bows, 1 bow, 2 bow, 3 bow. And to the masters, 1 bow. Thank you all. Good night, everyone.
Bye.一代宗师去釜山，今时孔子在荣园。天降Yu-lin，荒漠中的甘泉，皆可解惑解迷圈。浩浩天恩是无边。白水注人间，一泓清流脉脉滋润心田，阳生阳辉阳浩然。
旗帜闪烁时如什么眼，血汗交织老容颜。气候与呈现，诲人不厌倦。春风化雨喜神仙，尊师有忠告，福音圈圈，忠恕仁慈之 无间，为法而忘去，一心要苍天，缅怀深刻这人不远。
一代宗师居釜山，今世孔子在荣渊。天将Yu-lin荒漠中的甘泉，皆可解惑解谜圈。浩浩天恩师德无边，悠悠白水注人间。一泓清流脉脉滋润心田，阳生阳辉阳浩然。
气质闪烁时如山蔓延，血汗交织老容颜。气候与呈现，会人不厌倦，春风化雨喜神仙。尊师有忠告，福音圈圈，忠恕仁慈之无间，为法而忘去，一心要苍天，缅怀深刻这人不远。
好，谢谢那个展雄，谢谢你哦。
谢谢于讲师，谢谢林讲师，谢谢各位浅浅，
谢谢辛苦了。
谢谢大家晚安。